So what am I doing here at the beautiful Barnes Harley Davidson dealership in Kamloops? Well, you're in for a treat. Our next guest is not only a kidney transplant recipient with an inspiring story that she's going to share with us, she's also a motorcycle enthusiast. Margaret, welcome to the show.
Thank you, and thank you very much for inviting me.
Oh, we're so glad to have you here on Plugged In. So before we talk about you being a transplant recipient, I've got to find out, we're in this fabulous shop, your passion for motorcycle riding. When did it start?
Since 2000, so 17 years. Barnes Harley Davidson in Kamloops is my second home. I come here a lot. A lot of people think I'm staff. But they treat me really well here, and it's just part of our lifestyle where we're all one big family.
Well, so that means, you've been riding, right? So,
yes.
So
yes.
How did that passion start?
Well, it started when my husband and I were together, and after 3 strikes, we had to sell that bike. And then in 1999, we had a little trip, rented a Harley, and I was sold. And here I am,
wow.
loving
so
it. Took my lessons and just love riding. You ride to eat, you eat to ride. It's just all about where's lunch, where's the next bar, where's the next restaurant. It's just what's the best food, and then the companionship.
What's really interesting about your story, because I hadn't heard of it, we haven't covered it before. You contacted something called Goodpasture disease, and that's what led to kidney failure.
Yes.
Okay, can you tell us about that?
Yes, it was one of those experiences where I didn't even know what the word renal meant. And I was sick. I'd been riding that summer, had a really beautiful run down to Saskatchewan to a rally there, and highway to the sun in Idaho, and then came home, and I was tired. I had a cough, and then I went to Seattle, and my girlfriend said to me, you're kind of lagging there, Maggie, what's going on? And I'm like, I don't know, I'm just, on this cough. And then she said, finally on the long weekend in September, you need to go to the hospital and get that checked. So 17 days later, found me in the hospital, very, very sick. And then after about a week, and within that week, I realized that I couldn't go to the bathroom. I'm like, that had never happened before. I'd always been able to go pee, but now I couldn't. So then they did a biopsy and came back with the Goodpasture. Well, like yourself, I'd never heard of that word, never heard of it. So the treatment is to do reverse plasmapheresis. So they put you on a machine and they take a plasmaphere out of you and clean it and put it back in. Kind of like the same as dialysis.
Now, I'm going to back up a little bit, because you said when you were first diagnosed, you didn't even know the word renal. So you had no idea about kidney disease, didn't think, oh, maybe this will affect my kidneys.
No, not at all. When I seen my doctor the Monday morning, and he had gotten the blood work from when I was at the emergency, and he said to me, just go home and wait for my phone call. And then the nurse phoned me and said, we need you to go to the bathroom, we need you to go to the lab and go pee. And I'm going, oh, well, meanwhile, I was a mess because they didn't know what it was, and they thought maybe I had cancer. So my daughter took me home, and thank God I didn't think about my bike because to go to the lab. So I phoned a girlfriend who was off and said, can you take me to the lab? I need to go take a pee test. And then she says, sure. And then I'm going, well, now I got to drink all these copious amounts of water because it's not coming to me anymore, So then I got to, I did the test, then they phoned me back and said, be at the hospital at 5 o'clock.
I mean, now that would have been one of the symptoms, right?
Yes,
the fact that you
but still, didn't even
know
know what the word nephrologist meant.
Right. A huge learning curve for you. So you were saying what you were describing before was, I guess, hemodialysis. So you were on hemodialysis first.
Yes.
Before going on to peritoneal dialysis, PD.
Yes.
Right? Which you were on for, what, another 6.5 years?
Yes.
So what was your thought process on changing? How did that come about, going from hemo to peritoneal?
They said right at the beginning, my nurses said, you are a perfect candidate for PD. And again, no idea what is this?
Why?
Why? And they, but they knew my passion for riding, and they knew that this would accommodate my riding.
So you mentioned about the 105th anniversary of Harley Davidson. There was a big trip, and you didn't let being on peritoneal dialysis hold you back. Tell us about that.
Yeah.
How? I mean,
Well,
you continued to ride while you're on peritoneal dialysis.
I did, and 1 year in 2008. So now I've 3 years in dialysis stage, and we decide, a group of friends, 10 of us, decide to go to Milwaukee for the 105th anniversary. And we did this trek for 3 weeks, went down to Four Corners in Arizona, Moab, Colorado. It was just phenomenal, and the whole time I did my dialysis. One of my chapter members, a couple of the guys here built me a trailer to haul all my dialysis stuff in it, and built a pole for me to hang everything. So when we'd stop somewhere, I would just, I know some of the illegal stuff you're not supposed to do, but I did to get my bag warm, and it worked. The whole 3 weeks on that holiday. There was one time when we were coming into Sturgis, and it was a bit later, and I couldn't find anywhere to heat my bag up. So I just thought, well, it's been warm out, it should be okay. It wasn't. It was cold, right? So then I got the chill. And
right.
You don't realize that when you're doing this dialysis and you're in the comfort at home with your machine running you, but now you're responsible for the warmth of that bag.
Wow. So just to explain to our audience, so you're riding along, how much time, how often did you have to do?
I did 4 exchanges a day.
4 a day.
So I did, we stayed in motels, we camped, and the KOA campsites are awesome because they all have the equipment that I need. One campsite we stayed at in Moab, we were in the middle of nowhere, Arches Trace Park, and I said to my friends, how am I going to heat my bag up? Yeah. And he said, you see that motorhome down over there? And I said, yeah. He said, go knock on the door. Oh, so I did, and they heated my bag up for me. The generosity of people was incredible on that trip as we're going across, the states, and sitting on the side of the road, hanging your bag up, got your lawn chair, doing your exchange.
Nothing's going to slow you down.
No, I was devastated the first night I came home from the hospital, and I spent the whole night crying. I was with friends, and everybody felt that's where I should be. And after in the morning, I said, I have to go home. I have to heal at home. That's where I need to start this, because I was really sick. And then I had to do chemotherapy for 9 months to kill the Goodpasture. So that was a real challenge throughout all this, but I was determined to get back on my bike and get the strength. And that's where they said the PD would help me achieve that lifestyle.
Perfect.
And did it ever.